You know what absolutely infuriates me about WWE's roster management? When they have a monster sitting in NXT, a legitimate once-in-a-generation talent who's been demolishing everyone on the developmental brand, and they keep him there rotting away while the main roster is desperate for fresh blood and credible threats. Femi has been the most dominant force in NXT for over a year, destroying everyone in his path, looking like an absolute killer, and WWE just kept him there. Until January 2nd, 2026. Until Femi decided he was done waiting for permission and showed up on Raw uninvited to destroy both Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker in a backstage assault that's already being called one of the most shocking debuts in WWE history. And now we've got a triple threat at the Royal Rumble between three absolute monsters, and I'm about to break down why this changes everything for WWE's landscape going forward, and why some people in management should be terrified of what they've unleashed. Let me set the stage for you because what happened backstage on Raw wasn't just a debut. It was a statement, a declaration of war, a message sent directly to WWE management that said, "I'm not asking for my opportunity anymore. I'm taking it." Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed were already scheduled to face each other at the Royal Rumble in what was being billed as a clash of titans. Two unstoppable forces colliding to determine who's the real monster on Monday Night Raw. Both men have been destroying competition for months. Both men have legitimate claims to being the most physically dominant wrestler on the roster. It was the kind of match that wrestling fans dream about. Then Femi showed up and said, "Not without me." The footage of what happened backstage is insane. Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker were having a confrontation in the parking lot area, trash-talking, shoving, the usual pre-match tension building. Security and producers were surrounding them, trying to keep them separated because everyone knows when these two collide, property gets damaged and people get hurt. The tension was thick. You could feel through the screen that something was about to explode. And then, from out of nowhere, Femi appeared. Quick question for you. Had you heard of Femi before this Raw appearance? Or was this your first introduction to him? Drop your answer in the comments because I want to know how many people knew what was coming. Didn't say a word at first. He just walked into frame, all 6 feet 4 inches and 270 pounds of pure muscle and intensity, and both Bron and Bronson stopped mid-argument to turn and look at this man who had the audacity to interrupt their confrontation. There was this moment, maybe 3 seconds of silence, where you could see the recognition in their eyes. They knew who Femi was. They knew what he'd been doing in NXT. They knew he was dangerous. And then attacked both of them simultaneously. Not one at a time like you'd expect in a typical WWE segment. He hit Bronson Reed with a running lariat that sent him crashing into a production truck. Before Bron could react, grabbed him and delivered a spinebuster onto the concrete that echoed through the parking structure. The security guards who were supposed to be keeping Bron and Bronson separated were now trying to stop and he was throwing them aside like they were children. This wasn't a wrestling match. This wasn't choreographed spots designed to make everyone look good. This was an assault. This was Femi announcing his presence on the main roster by putting his hands on two of Raw's most protected acts and making them look helpless. Bronson Reed, the 330-pound wrecking ball who's been tsunami-ing people through the ring, was scrambling to get away from Bron Breakker, the second-generation monster who's supposed to be the future of WWE, got ragdolled like he was nothing. Here's a question that's going to split opinions. Should NXT call-ups be allowed to attack main roster stars immediately, or should they have to earn their spot first? Let me know in the comments where you stand. The most shocking moment, and this is what has everyone talking, is when Femi grabbed both Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, one in each hand, and launched them into a catering table. Not individually, simultaneously. He literally grabbed two of the biggest, strongest men on the WWE roster and threw them like they were cruiserweights. The table exploded on impact. Food went everywhere. Bron and Bronson were left in a heap of broken wood and destroyed catering. And just stood over them, chest heaving, looking directly into the camera. Then he spoke. 3 sentences that are going to be replayed for years. Royal Rumble. Triple threat. I'm not asking. Then he walked away, leaving absolute chaos in his wake. Producers were yelling into headsets. Medical staff were checking on Bron and Bronson. Security was regrouping, and Femi just calmly walked back through the arena like nothing happened. Like he didn't just completely upend WWE's Royal Rumble plans. The backstage reaction to this was immediate. Within minutes, Adam Pearce, Raw's general manager, was on screen looking absolutely furious. He was yelling about how Oba had no right to attack two of his roster members, how he doesn't even work on Raw, how there would be consequences for this. Triple H, WWE's chief content officer, eventually came out and made it official. The Royal Rumble match between Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed would now be a triple threat, with Femi included. But he made it clear this wasn't a reward for Oba's actions. This was Triple H putting Oba in a position to get destroyed by two men who now want revenge for being embarrassed on live television. Classic WWE framing. Present the match as punishment while everyone knows it's actually the opportunity Oba was demanding. Trivia time. Can you name another NXT superstar who debuted on the main roster by attacking multiple established stars in their first appearance? Drop your answer in the comments. Let's talk about why Femi's debut is so significant beyond just the shock value. First, this is how you immediately establish credibility for a call-up. Too often, NXT wrestlers arrive on the main roster and get lost in the shuffle. They're introduced in generic backstage segments, they have their first match against a mid-carder, and within 6 weeks they're on main event wondering what happened to their momentum. Femi bypassed all of that by going directly at the top of the food chain. Second, Oba attacking both Bron and Bronson sends a message that he's not afraid of anyone. He's not picking his spots or waiting for the right opportunity. He's declaring himself an equal to the most dominant forces on Raw and backing it up with violence. That's character establishment done right. In one segment, casual fans who never watched NXT now know exactly who Femi is and what he represents. Danger. Third, and this is crucial, Oba's actions create an immediate rivalry with two of Raw's top heels without requiring weeks of build. The Royal Rumble triple threat has instant heat because Bron and Bronson have legitimate reasons to want to destroy Oba. They were embarrassed, disrespected, and physically assaulted. That's personal. That creates the kind of intensity that makes for must. Now let's discuss each man in this triple threat individually, because this match is absolutely stacked with potential. Bron Breakker is the second-generation star with Steiner bloodlines, already a multiple-time champion in NXT, being positioned as a future WWE champion. He's explosive, powerful, intense, and has that IT factor that's rare in modern wrestling. His involvement in this match was already guaranteed, and he comes in wanting to prove he's the alpha dog of this new generation. Here's a question. Before Oba showed up, who did you have winning the original Bron versus Bronson match? Comment your prediction. Bronson Reed is the 330-pound monster from Australia who's been on an absolute rampage since returning to WWE. His tsunami finishing move, a top rope splash from a man that size, is one of the most devastating moves in wrestling today. He's been destroying legends and rising stars alike, and he's got legitimate gripes about being overlooked for championship opportunities despite his dominance. Bronson came into this feud as arguably the most dangerous man in WWE. Then there's Femi. For those unfamiliar with his NXT work, let me educate you. Oba held the NXT North American Championship for over 300 days, one of the longest reigns in that title's history. He never lost the championship in a match. He relinquished it only because he was being called up. During his reign, he defeated everyone NXT put in front of him. His combination of size, strength, athleticism, and intensity made him feel like a final boss in a video game. And now he's on Raw with something to prove. The styles these three men bring to the table create fascinating dynamics. Bron is the explosive powerhouse who uses raw athleticism and aggression. Bronson is the immovable object who absorbs punishment and dishes out devastating power moves. Oba is the perfect combination of both. He's got Bron's explosiveness and Bronson's power, making him potentially the most complete physical specimen of the three. The match possibilities are endless. But here's what has me concerned, and this is where my anger at WWE's booking philosophy comes back. We've got three monsters in one match at the Royal Rumble, which is fantastic. But WWE has a history of booking these monster versus monster matches as pure spectacle without considering what happens after. Someone has to lose. Actually, two people have to lose because there's only one winner. And in WWE's current environment, losses matter. They kill momentum. They damage credibility. Another question, who should win this triple threat at the Royal Rumble? And more importantly, who do you think WWE will actually have win? Comment both answers. If Bron Breakker loses, that's two high-profile losses in quick succession after getting destroyed by Seth Rollins. That's a burial, not a booking strategy. If Bronson Reed loses, you've stopped his momentum cold right when he's finally getting the push his talent deserves. If Femi loses in his main roster debut match, you've completely undermined the dominance of his NXT run and his shocking debut attack. There's literally no good outcome here unless WWE is very careful about how they book the finish. The smart booking, and let's see if WWE actually does this, is to have the match end in chaos. No clean finish. All three men destroying each other to the point where the referee can't determine a winner, or the match breaks down into a no contest, or there's outside interference that protects everyone. That way, you extend the feud beyond the Royal Rumble, you keep all three men strong, and you build toward an even bigger payoff at Elimination Chamber or WrestleMania. But WWE rarely takes the smart path. They'll probably have someone win clean, sacrifice two monsters to build one, and then wonder 6 months from now why they don't have enough credible main event threats. It's the same pattern we've seen countless times, and it's exhausting watching WWE repeat the same mistakes over and over. The build to this match over the next few weeks is going to be crucial. All three men need to look equally dangerous leading into the Royal Rumble. That means Oba needs to continue his path of destruction, taking out other roster members to establish he belongs at this level. Bron needs to rebound from the Seth Rollins loss with some dominant performances. Bronson needs to keep doing what he does best, being an unstoppable wrecking ball who flattens everyone in his path. Here's another question. What stipulation, if any, would make this triple threat even better? Street fight? Falls count anywhere? No DQ? Or keep it standard? Drop your preference in the comments. The promo exchanges between these three are going to be intense. Bron's got that Steiner intensity in his promos where he feels genuinely unhinged. Bronson can cut menacing promos that make him sound like a calculated destroyer. Oba's got that quiet confidence that's somehow more intimidating than yelling. He speaks calmly about violence like he's discussing the weather. Put these three in a ring together with microphones and you're going to get fire. Social media has been insane since Oba's debut. Wrestling Twitter immediately started fantasy booking this match, creating dream scenarios and arguing about who should win. Femi was trending worldwide within minutes of the attack. Clips of him throwing Bron and Bronson into the catering table have millions of views across all platforms. This is the kind of organic buzz that WWE lives for. Genuine excitement from the fanbase about something unexpected and exciting. The fact that this is happening at the Royal Rumble, WWE's second biggest event of the year, adds another layer of significance. This isn't a throwaway match on a random premium live event. This is a marquee attraction at a show that historically creates WrestleMania storylines. The winner of this triple threat is likely being positioned for something major going forward, possibly even a World Championship program leading into WrestleMania 41. Let me ask you this. Should the winner of this triple threat get a World Championship match at WrestleMania? Or should they be built up more first? Comment your booking philosophy. The physical carnage this match is going to produce is almost guaranteed to be highlight reel material. You've got three guys who specialize in power moves and brutal offense. Expect multiple moments where all three men are down and the crowd is chanting, "This is awesome." Expect at least one spot that makes the announce team go silent because they're legitimately concerned someone got hurt. Expect this match to hurt both for the compet. The best case scenario is that this triple threat is so good, so brutal, so memorable that it elevates all three men regardless of who wins. The finish should be designed to keep everyone strong, everyone credible, and everyone ready for the next level. Maybe Oba wins by eliminating Bronson, and then Bron immediately challenges Oba to a rematch. Maybe Bronson wins but Oba and Bron both look like they could have won on a different night. The possibilities are endless if WWE is willing to think long-term. The worst-case scenario is that WWE treats this as one and done. Someone wins decisively, the losers move on to unrelated feuds, and in 3 months nobody remembers this match happened. That would be a catastrophic waste of the momentum and excitement that Oba's debut created. And unfortunately, based on WWE's recent history, I can't confidently say they won't waste this opportunity. One more question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for this triple threat at the Royal Rumble? Give me a number in the comments. Oba Femi's shocking debut on Raw, destroying both Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker, is the kind of moment that creates stars. It's bold, it's memorable, it's the kind of thing people will reference years from now when discussing great debuts. The triple threat at the Royal Rumble has the potential to be a show-stealing, career-defining match for all 3 men involved. But potential means talking about
nothing
3
if
of the most physically imposing
through.
Legitimately intimidating need to be booked in all of wrestling colliding in one match but in the weeks leading up to it and the months following it. This shouldn't be a flash-in-the-pan moment that's forgotten by February. This should be the foundation for the next generation of WWE main eventers. This should be the match that people point to and say, that's when everything changed for the better. Oba Femi, Bron Breakker, and Bronson Reed are the future of WWE, if the company is smart enough to recognize it and book them accordingly. They represent everything wrestling fans want. Legitimate physical specimens who can work, who have intensity, who feel dangerous when they step in the ring. This triple threat is WWE's opportunity to prove they've learned from past mistakes and are ready to fully invest in building new stars. Make sure you're subscribed to SUPLEX Ring Saga because we're covering every development in the storyline from now until the Royal Rumble and beyond. Smash that like button if Oba Femi's debut gave you chills. And get in those comments with your predictions, your reactions, and your thoughts on this absolute bombshell of a storyline. 3 monsters.